provide an info session for others as time goes by. So, hi. It's going to be pretty informal. Let me pull some slides down here in a second, just real quick. I'm going through. Getting things set up. Bear with me. Okie doke. There we go. So just using the reaction, you can do a thumbs up. Oh, Ronald, can you hear me a little bit better now? Can people hear me? I see some thumbs up for people hearing me.
You're coming in pretty clear, yeah.
Cameron, can you message Ronald just to make sure maybe he's...
Yep.
So I'm going to keep this pretty informal just because I want to answer people's questions if they have them. And also just to provide a little bit of details. So by show of thumbs up reaction, how many people have heard about SIFAT and our May Master program before? Okay, that's good. Good. And I suspect a few others of you probably saw an announcement and you're just kind of curious as to what this is. So the SIFAT program is a special program that we're having. It's Maymester, and so it's just like the weeks right after the semester is done, right before the first week of June. It's just a quick 4-week semester in the summer. And it's a 2-week field program at SIFAT, which is down in Lineville, Alabama. And it's a special, very special place. It's been around for about 30 or 40 years. The people who founded it is now run by their kids, who are both adults with other kids that are adults. So it's been kind of an intergenerational thing. Has anyone heard of SIFAT, or maybe you went to the SIFAT campus when you were in school, in high school, maybe in Alabama, if you're an Alabama resident? So a lot of folks have heard of it. They do a lot of outreach and they talk about things like appropriate technologies. And that's kind of a word that we used to use, but now we just talk about technology and innovation. And what's really neat about this program is that SIFAT has this long history of working in lower resource settings and lower income places around the world, as well as in Alabama. And they are able to work within those communities, evaluate what resources are available, and innovate new technologies or innovate some older ones to help the community in whatever needs they have. And I'm going to show you some slides here in a minute. So this program is really an opportunity for people who want to do some field work abroad after you graduate. This is a good training experience for that. This is a great opportunity for people who want to learn a little bit more about community development principles and working with different cultures. To me, what's really fascinating, aside from learning all these technologies and things, is that you get to have interaction with international people. And we're still planning to bring international people to Lineville, Alabama. And these folks are partners with SIFAT in their international communities. Sometimes we bring people from Honduras, sometimes from Costa Rica, sometimes from Kenya. It just sort of depends on what projects are going on and when people can travel. So we have our UAB students and we have our international participants as well that are through the SIFAT partnership. So you get an international experience, you get a multicultural experience, you get to hear diverse perspectives on issues, all while you're within this immersed experience in SIFAT. So to me, that's really cool because basically, you know, I'm in the job that I'm in because I like people. I like different diverse cultures. I like learning about other people's circumstances. And that's really the hook that SIFAT has for this program. So anybody who's maybe added and you haven't written your name in the chat, please do so. I'm going into sharing screen right now. Is everybody able to see this kind of picture that's up? Good, thank you. It might mean too that I can't see all the chat stuff. So Cameron, if there's a real good question or something that rolls through, go ahead and interrupt me. And folks, feel free to go off mute. This isn't a lecture. This is an interactive experience to help answer your questions. Like I said, it's a May course. It's during May semester. It's 1 week online. The first weekend of the semester is online. Then we'll do 2 weeks in Lineville. And then you'll return home and you'll have a week to finish up all your papers and work that you have to do. The work that's going to be involved is while you're in SIFAT, you're going to be keeping a journal. And each day writing in it, thinking about things that you've learned. And it's just a collection of thoughts. We'll look at your journals while you're there. Our partner with SIFAT, Kathy Bryson, will be giving you guidance on what to write in those journals. So we really co-developed and co-teach this experience. And she has just so many years of amazing experience. She's got stories upon stories upon stories. If you like to hear stories, this is the program for you. You will hear lots of stories. And then what you'll do when you get back is you'll write a reflection paper. And you'll be given the instructions for that once you're in the course. And so you, as you're going through this experience, can kind of be working on that paper. And when you come back, you'll write it and send it in. And for this experience, because it's so immersive, you'll get 6 credits for the short 4 weeks, which is a really nice thing for some folks to have. So again, as I mentioned, this is UAB students and international students or international participants who will be visiting. And I don't know where they're visiting from yet, but I will be updating that information once I know. We're still kind of talking about it, still planning. Like I said, it's over in Lineville, just sort of outside of Lineville. That's over here, so Birmingham, you get on the 20, you come down. And it's really a very large, beautiful piece of property. The grounds and the facilities around is just gorgeous. And you can walk and see and enjoy the outdoors and enjoy the peace and quiet. The dormitory is a dormitory. It is not fancy. It's a special grounds and facilities. This is the lodge. Here is one of the dormitories. Here's the other, and these 2 doors enter in the middle, enter into the main general lodge area. So for those who are just getting admitted and added in, I am showing some photos of SIFAT and some of the grounds, and I'm just going to go back just to show, again, it's a beautiful place. And then here is the dormitories. And this is what the dorm looks like. I mean, it is like very humble. You'll bring your own bedding and whatnot, and you will sleep in bunk beds. I will say that typically there are less male students than female students. So men tend to have it kind of lucky on this because there's just a lot of beds and not as many men involved, but this is very simple. And this is also where you'll be interacting too with the international students. So it is fully a collective experience. But we won't be spending that much time in your dormitory. That's where you'll be spending time just to sleep because your days are packed full of activities. There are activities indoors. Look at how much fun they're having. It's so much fun. And then there's also activities outdoors. So there's different parts of the campus. This here, they're showing about different ways of doing fuel to have, for cleaner fuel stoves. And we go through different kinds of technologies for cooking with limited resources. There's also a little bit of a farm. Most of the students really enjoy the farm. We do some cooking. There's some water sanitation stuff. So there's little pockets where we'll travel and go around. They do have a small little store. This is their store. It just has simple things in it. But we often recommend that if you're coming, your room is covered and so is your food. But a lot of students eat a lot more than I think we're ever ready to give. So we often recommend that bring your own snacks. In the lodge and dormitory, there is a kitchen and a refrigerator. You do share it. It is communal, but that seems to be satisfies most people with their snacks and being able to curb any hunger that maybe you have from eating more vegetables than you're used to eating, which is usually the criticism that we hear. This is the dining hall. There's another building for dining. A lot of our meals are together. And in the evening, we usually have meals and then kind of a cultural experience where we share a lot of stories and talk and maybe share music or dance. There's all kinds of fun things that happen alongside our dinners. There's also this really cool thing called the Global Village. So this fella here is one of the directors of SIFAT and the son of the founders. And in the Global Village, which is an area where we'll have some activities, but you can also walk around and explore yourself, there are different houses that have been built in the traditional way of certain countries. And this is one, there's other ones. And so you can see how housing and structures traditionally are built in informal settlements from different countries and different cultures around the world, which is really cool. Kind of like Disneyland in a way. Students really find this experience to be a lot of fun. It can seem a little bit like overwhelming and you can be thinking, I don't really want to go to camp. I feel like I'm too old for that experience. But the fact is, what you're doing is you're meeting all these incredible people with a shared interest of understanding how we can improve low resource settings around the world. And people come out of this with lifelong friendships and connections with SIFAT too. Like I said, they've got lots of opportunities. They're doing a lot more international internships now. So this is a great place to, get a little bit of training and then continue to build on that network. So one of the topics that we'll cover in this class and throughout the course, and in that first week, you'll get some foundational materials about. One of them is water, sanitation, and hygiene. And you'll be making these kinds of things, this sort of like water pasteurization indicator. You'll learn how to make that. You'll learn what that does. We may be able to do some work with latrines, learning about different kinds of latrines. The inertia pump models are really fun and also really common. These are some of the most common things that we see when we work in low resource settings and informal settlements. We'll also do a little bit around fuel efficient cook stoves and thinking about different kinds of fuels. Some of those will also we'll make food as well, which is really, really exciting and really fun. So we'll not only be making these, but we'll be cooking with them from time to time. We had a participant a few years. I really enjoyed this class and I would recommend it for anyone who's doing global health certificate or interested in global health program. For those who maybe have had a class with me or taken the intro or fundamentals with me, you know that we've talked to some extent about the importance of having fuel efficient, being able to not have so much smoke and good ventilation. Solar cooking is another real innovative thing, super simple to do with simple pieces and forms of materials. And that's really at the heart of what SIFAT is trying to bring across, is that you don't have to put a whole lot of investment to just help families kind of recover from whatever their circumstance is. And a lot of times these sort of things are used in emergency settings or people who have been displaced. So these kind of ovens and materials that we make and we cook with are truly, truly important. We also do a little bit looking at fortifying foods and how they have come up with this really interesting leaf powder to combat micronutrient deficiency. And that's an example of using that powder to make some like spaghetti, which will, if we get the opportunity, we'll do. And again, experience it by eating it. There's also a big farm space here. So this woman in the purple is Kathy. That's who I was talking about as the co-creator. There's just some really beautiful landscape. They've got a great farm out there, and we'll learn about some of the techniques that they use in sustainable farming that helps with water flow and irrigation and really translatable materials for things here in rural America as well. The way to enroll, and if you have any questions about this, we can try and answer them for you, is through the Education Abroad website. So since even though this program isn't going out of the country, it is off campus and it's off site. So because of that, we call it a study away program as opposed to a study abroad program. And we work with Education Abroad to help set that up and help us collect applications and run the program. The deadline is February 1st, and the application is online, but one of the things that you have to do is you have to write to me a letter of interest. And all that detail and information is on the Education Abroad website. But the letter is really important because one of the things that we've had in the past are students who just want to get 6 credits as fast as possible. And I can tell you, if that's your motivation, you're not going to enjoy this program because it's really intense and you have to be invested. And it's also not good for us to have people who don't want to be a part of the program on the program. It affects our relationships with our partners. So I am insisting upon having this letter of interest so that people can just sort of outline with me why they want to do this and how they think it's going to help improve and affect their career, or at least, scratch an itch that they have been wondering about. Maybe they took my class and thought it was really cool and they want to learn a little bit more. That's perfectly acceptable. But if it's like, I want to graduate as quick as I can and I need 6 credits and I want to do this class, that's not acceptable. The cost is the cost of tuition plus this $300 non-refundable deposit and the $125 application fee. So the non-refundable deposit is kind of like your program fee. We don't charge you the full amount. The Sparkman Center covers that, but this is just sort of to hold your place and for us to be able to make sure that you're really invested. And we've tried to keep it as low as possible and as affordable as possible. Like if you look at some of the other programs, their program fees can be thousands of dollars because we're covering your housing and your food. But here, like I said, we subsidize that. For students who are interested in this, you can still apply for Education Abroad scholarships. Those are on the website. And because this is a program that's study away, it still qualifies for some of those scholarships. If you're a student of the School of Public Health, we often have additional scholarships that you can apply for if you're a major. So do keep an eye out if you're interested, because you might be able to get this covered and not have to worry about anything but the tuition. And then if you have any questions later, you can contact me directly or you can contact the Sparkman Center. But with that, that's kind of all I really wanted to present. And I'm happy to take questions from anyone if there's any questions. And for those of you who may have just added, please make sure to add your name in the chat so that I have a record of who was able to attend.
Dr. Gartin, are the exact dates in May finalized?
They are not, but we are anticipating, and I don't expect them to change, but we are anticipating that you'll arrive on a Sunday evening, and we'll start the program on a Monday, May 16th. And then it'll run until Sunday evening, May 29th. And that's a good question, because I want to also add that Sundays are kind of your days off. Saturday is like a half day. We do a little activity, and students are allowed to, go off, and if they have their car with them, you can go into town, you can go shopping. A lot of students hit up like the fast food restaurants. So those are some things that you can do. Mary, I see your question. Are the students that attend in similar groups, age groups? No, runs the gamut. We have undergrad, we have grad, we have professionals. We have people who are middle-aged sometimes, particularly our international partners that come. Some of them are of all those ages too. So it's a bit of a, just kind of depends on what we get. Leah.
Yes, I have a question. So are there any significant changes that will be made to this program due to COVID-19?
So I'm not sure. Whatever Education Abroad has a policy for their programs, we will follow their policies. Cameron, do you happen to know anything about that?
Right now, I think they are still it's based country by country basis for where students can travel. But as far as since this is a domestic program, I don't think that there would be any issue with it running. There might be, I don't know about the CFAT side though, lodging, that sort of thing.
That was just what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken with Kathy lately about what kind of requirements that they might have, such as Mary says, a vaccine requirement. I think you can pretty much bet that that's something that they're going to request. And certainly that they would probably require other international partners that would be coming as well. So I think I would certainly prefer that. I'm not sure I can require that as a faculty member, but Kathy might be able to require that. And that's information that once, as I live and breathe, Kathy is always traveling the world. So I usually catch her on the holidays and then around spring break. So we can certainly follow up, and I suspect that we can probably update the Study Abroad website too with that information. Are there accommodations for dietary restrictions, medical conditions, and/or disabilities? Absolutely. I think one of the things with for example, there is a main office. So if there's anything such as medicine that you need to have stored that maybe you don't want to store in the lodge, that's something that we can work out. In terms of dietary restrictions, a lot of the food that we make actually falls in line with most dietary restrictions, but certainly that's something that we would want to know about in the application process or upon, I think we asked that question after people have been accepted. So that's all information that we'll gather around the time of approval and acceptance of any applications that come in. In terms of disabilities, because this is a school program, anything that would fall under DSS or accommodations for students, we would provide. I will say, however, that, and we just recently did a recent inventory of ramps and the ability to get around and all of those kinds of things, because there are, as you probably saw, let me come back over here, some of this landscape is just, kind of in your backyard. So you've got some rough terrain and some things like that that we contend with. and it's a bit rolling landscape. But we do have the ability to transport people. There's back roads within the landscape that we can get people around if we need to. And there's accessibility options throughout all buildings and areas. So it's just a matter of us being informed of those ahead of time and then making the accommodations. You're welcome. Any other questions? Those are great questions. Any other questions? Everybody gonna apply? Hi, Portia, how's it going? We are probably around 15 to 20 is what we're looking for. If we get more, then we'll go. If we have people that we really think, oh man, we'd love to make it up to 25, then we'll talk with Kathy and look at that in terms of the housing and the accommodations. There are other accommodations, other housing as well. So coming back to that accommodations issue, if people require not a bunk bed for whatever reason, then we can often make those accommodations. It's just, again, a matter of knowing about it. There will be a list of what we recommend for travel. I saw Chris's question there, list of gear, equipment, clothing requirements. But I mean, we get dirty, you know, so like t-shirts and shorts are a good way to go. Bug spray is probably a good thing to bring, but we'll have a good list of that for students. And then there'll be once you're in the program, we'll have a really formal orientation where we'll go through that, and hopefully Kathy will be there too. But pretty much, I doubt there'll be anything you need to buy except a notebook, which reminds me, the SIFAT campus does not have internet. So it's really, and that's on purpose. We want you all to be immersed in interacting with each other, not interacting with your phone. So that's a big issue for two reasons. One, students get nervous sometimes because they don't have internet, but you can go out to the city and access Wi-Fi at, you know, the places around. But the other issue is sometimes students are wanting to take online courses at that time, and that's a problem. So, and we don't make the accommodations for that. So that's something that students would need to work out with their faculty member to get special requests, and you might not be given those requests. So it's a matter, that's a big issue that we often find with students wanting to come on this program, is that the lack of internet access and their ability to do online classes. The application fee is required after you get accepted in the program. Oh no, the application fee, I can't remember how we have it set up. That's a good question, Portia. The application fee is the $125, and the deposit is what you put down with the acceptance. And I think the $125 is due with the application. I see Cameron nodding her head. I think that's right. $125 helps keep the lights on for the education abroad and the people employed. So we appreciate that that fee is there because that helps them do their work. You know, they don't reap any benefit. The tuition comes back to the school. Program fees go to develop the programs. So that $125 helps education abroad keep their lights on. Any other questions? Cameron, did you receive a question from Ronald? You're on mute.
Shall I unmute?
Yeah, that's better.
Is there an age limit?
No age limit.
Okay.
All ages welcome that are 18 and over.
Thank you.
Yep. Well, I'm happy to stay on. I'll stay on if people have other questions that maybe they don't want to ask with the whole crowd. And if there's any new folks that maybe missed the slideshow, I can go through it again. But thank you all so much for coming. And you can always reach out to me. You can reach out to Cameron or to the program can definitely be added to your resume. Portia asked another question there. Can the program be added? Not only are you getting the experience and you can add it as part of your educational experience, but SIFAT also gives every participant a certificate. So you'll also have a certification from SIFAT as an organization. So you get course credit for it and you'll get your own certificate. That's because a lot of the international people can't get course credit. So we offer a certificate to everyone. It's a resume builder. For
I have
sure.
one more question, if I may.
Absolutely.
I didn't really understand, maybe it's the mask, but you said May 16 through what?
The 29th to
The
9.
29th, okay.
Yeah,
And that's just the time at the facility.
that's
There's
correct.
also a week in the front and a week in the back, the
Yes.
online course, is that correct?
That's correct.
So it really extends from May 9 through June, early June, is that right?
Yeah, I think the last day is June 2nd. And
Okay.
then finals are June 3rd and 4th.
Very good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
most of the coursework will be completed while you're in site. And it's real old school. We recommend clean, legible writing. So pen and paper. So those who are older might have an advantage. Those who are younger might be disadvantaged. Sorry. You're welcome. I see thank yous coming in. Thanks, guys.